Okay. Yeah, so once you open Revit, the first thing that you'll see models and families. So the models mean the projects, while the families are objects in the project. So what you're seeing here are my previous projects that I've done inside Revit. And then families means the objects that we have created. So this is sample that came with the software. And then we have the ones that I have worked on. I changed the tags in my drawing. And we're trying to work with using waste turbine as a building material. So that's why you see something named turbine inside here for my drawing. So for a new drawing, you will go to the models. That's for a new project. You go to models and then click on new. When you get to the new, we have this drop this arrow. If you click on it, you'll see imperial construction. This is already prepared templates for different professions. So you have the one for construction, architectural, structural, for systems. So because we are architects, so we go on to, and we're used to the metric system of measurement. So imperial is feet and inches, while metric is meters and millimeters. So pick metric architecture, is already on projects, and then we say, okay. So then it will take us into the Revit interface. So in this Revit interface, it has been changing over time. I have some notes here that I think I can, let me drag it here and share what it's the reading is, and then I can go on to draw in Revit. So in the Revit interface, make it bigger. So, but they said by default, Revit maximizes the current window. It's practical to tile. When we're drawing, I will show you the tiled views. We want to talk about the interface. So it's loaded with functionality. The interface requires some getting used to. And the most important thing to know is that the interface constantly changes as you're working, depending on what you're doing at that moment. As soon as you select an element, the ribbon changes. A contextual tab is added to the ribbon and opened. So this is what you see, like when we open the interface. So this is the Revit interface. Right now we have all the tab architecture selected, and we have different types of tabs. So this architecture, structural, you see you have your beam walls, steel, precast. So for me, I don't want to see a lot of things. I just want to go through one project and then I'll learn how to do my thing and I can be adding on it. So in this case now, first thing to save the project. So I'll save it. So I'm going to name this, it's already default project 1. So if I say Revit Basics 1, and this is, I'll save them on my desktop so I can find it as quickly as possible. So in this new project, you want to do, let's say we want to do a gatehouse. Automatically, we have our project browser open to 2 levels, level 1 and level 2, and sites. So we have 3 levels, not 2. So sites, level 1, level 2. And then we have ceiling plans. We have elevations, east, north, south, and west. And then if you come over to this place, we have properties. That means we're setting the properties of things. So if we want to do the project, let me say we start from the site up. So if I come to my project browser and double click for sites, it's taking me to a new level called then sites. And let me see, this is covering it. So here we had level 1. And then we have site. So for everything you click in the project browser, you would see a new window. So now we are in the site level. And so you want to make our site, you go to this tab where we have a massing and sites. And then what we use to make the site is called the topo surface. So click on the topo surface. And then, like we said, it always changes depending on what you click. So once I click on that topo surface, it knows that I want to make a site. It will ask me what is the elevation of the site. Right now it's 0. That means it's a flat land. So if I leave it at 0 and click 4 times, it says place point over here. I click here. And then once we're finished clicking on the points that we want, we go and check the green mark. That means you're done. And when you draw like this, if this is like a aerial view, let's say the plan view, you want to see it in 3D, you can click the house here. So once we click on the house at the top here, this building icon, it will show us in 3D. And then also looking at this, if you want to change how you see these things now, at the bottom here, so right now my properties is floating and covering some things here. So I want to adjust it so that I can see other things here. So for now, I'll drag it away from here. And then at the base here, we can see some other things that we used to adjust. Here we have the coarse, medium, fine, basically how do you want it to show for you. And then over here, we have the graphic display options. So we can see it in wireframe. We can see it as a hidden object. We can see it as shaded. So once we click shaded, it will shade the site to show you that the site is looking brown now. And then if we go to consistent colors, then go to realistic. So realistic is to give you as real as it will look, as close to the material that you selected. So this is the 3D. So you see that we started with level 1. We opened up a site to draw the land. We clicked on the 3D house. So it's opening, somebody described it like an Excel file where you're opening different sheets. So it's opening different windows as we select. So remember, I want to make like a gatehouse. We have drawn the site. This is the site level. And so when you go this way, you want to think of like a section. I want to create different levels for our heights and then make them have different parts of the building. So for doing that height selection, you can go to the elevations and select one of them. So I'm selecting the east elevation. So automatically it comes with those 2 levels that appeared in this project browser. So the project browser has the different layers, different views, the different things that you can do. It's a browser like kind of a house that's taking you to different places. So now I've gone to a place that is the east elevation, and any current one will be highlighted to be bold. So now we have 2 levels, but we know that we want different levels in our building. So this level 1, 0, we can click on it and change the name to the, what do we call that, the ground level. So ground level is always 0, and then we can take that to be a reference point for the different things. So it will ask you, would you want to rename corresponding views? We say yes. And so we have the ground level. And now for this house, I want to have my floor level. So to create a new level, if I go to architecture and then go to level, I can make a level by drawing it in, or I can offset. You know how to use offset based on your AutoCAD and knowledge. So if I click on this, I can offset a level. So here is 0. So over here, we can put in the number. How do we want to offset it by? So let's say I'm using 450 mm for the level change. So you see that when you come to this line, it will show you that it's offsetting by 300, and then we hit the escape button to come out of it. And then I'm using escape twice now, and then click on this level to say this is my floor level. So it will put that in to ask you, do you want to rename the corresponding view? Say yes. So now I have ground level, floor level. If you come to the project browser over here, you would see the sites. Level 2 has not changed, but now we have a ground level and floor level. Okay. So for these 2 levels, I want to also show the height. So when you come over here to show you the distance, so let me zoom in so that we can see that. To show you the distance, so I have 450 and 3550. So usually we want to do the 3 meters. I can click on this and change it to 3 meters so that it will automatically, but now it's changing this place. I don't want to fix the constraint. So Control-Z, I'll undo that. And then come to this level and call this probably the roof level. And rename corresponding view. So now it has changed from level 2 to roof level over here. So it's intuitive. It follows our dimensions. So I'll come over here now and set, I used the dimensions before. So now if I add 450 plus 3 meters, that will be 3450. So I'm setting the final height of that roof to be at 3450. So 3 meters plus 450, that gives me the headroom that I wanted. So in this case now, we've done the sites. Let us do the slab for the foundation. So if you go to your massing and site, what you can use to do the sites, the slab, so that it always works with the site. We will also call the building pad, sorry, the building pad will give you your site, and it's telling me I'm in the wrong view. So it's also intuitive in the sense that if you put this in the wrong place, it will ask you to go to the view. So I want to go to my site view and say open it. So it has taken me to the site and is ready to draw the building foundation, the floor slab. So over here, we have our tools. Always this in modify section. You can draw it using a line. You can draw it using a rectangle, pentagon. In this place, you pick, you want to use an arc. So in this case, let me say we're doing a square floor plan. So I pick this rectangle. I come to my site. Once you click, it will start measuring it for you. So let's say we want a square. I'm doing let's say 12 by 12, and I click. So now I have a square slab of 12 by 12. We can set the let me see, over here it's calling it pad 1, that's giving it a name, property. So for Revit, anytime you want to create something, you want to duplicate it before you change or set your properties. So you can do that by going to edit type, and then we click on duplicate. That means create a copy. So I'm duplicating it and calling this the slab. Say okay. And then always you go into this place called the structure, you click for editing the structure and give it a thickness. We already know that we're using 450. So I put the 450 there, and then to set the materials, you click in this space beside the category. And then once you click there, it's supposed to come up with different types of materials to choose from. So for our slab, we can choose materials here. Let me just say I'm picking concrete cast in situ and okay. So we'll click OK for here. We have set our slab. So OK to close out all that. And then if I check this green mark and then go back to my 3D window to look at it, we'll see that we have created the slab. So when you look at it, it looks like it's in the ground. All you need to do, select it. I click on the slab. So pick the modified, so select the slab. Yeah, so once the color, once something is blue, it shows you that you have selected it, and then give it an offset from the ground. So 450, I click in the space, that shows that we have made the slab on this point. So we have this at 450. If you go to the project browser, we want to then draw the walls. So we want to select the level for those walls, and that will be at the floor level because they start from there. And so if I come to this point now, I want to see what I've done on the site. So we go to these properties. Over here, we have so many things that will be describing the window or whatever we have clicked, the properties of that thing. So right now we say underlay, what should we look at? Range base. I'm going to say, look at it from that ground level. And so when I click there, it will now show me what I've done on the ground level so that I can trace on it. So when we look at this from the floor level, we can go to the architecture to make these walls, click on the wall, and then go to edit type, duplicate. So this is a wall 150 mm. Okay. And so we're editing the structure of the wall automatically, or by default it's at 200. So we're changing it to 150. And then what's the material for the wall? So maybe I can pick either they are masonry units or it's painted white, or let me just say it's a white wall now. And then okay. So okay here. So if we come to this properties section, it's going to tell us that the height of the wall. So if I hover my mouse here, it's telling me the height of this wall, unconnected height, is 8 meters, but I want it to be 3 meters. So I can change this 8 meters to 3 meters. Fine. Or if I leave it at 8 meters, I can set it to be constrained. So constraints means we have a base constraint starting from the floor level. Top constraint is unconnected. So if I come here and click here and say, I want it to stop at the roof level, that is constrained. You see, it automatically changes from 8 to 3. And that means that whatever I change that roof height, the wall will go with it because it's constrained by that roof level. So it's 3 here. And then we say apply. And then go to the place that we want to draw the wall. So this modify comes up again. Remember, we drew the base with the rectangle, so we can draw the wall with the rectangle. So I click here and then to this other edge. And you see that it drew it on the center because over here we have location line, wall center line. So I'm using the center of where I click. I can set it to exterior, interior for it to draw inside the line and not on the center. So now we have this, we go to our 3D and look at it. We have our slab, we have the site, we have the slab, and then we have the walls over here. So the next thing we want to do is to put the windows and the doors. So we'll go back to that floor level. In architecture, we have doors, we have windows. So let's start with door and then edit type of door, duplicate it. You can call this D1 and then set the dimension. So it's 2134, giving allowance. So I can change it to exactly 21 and go to the width, 900. And then here we can also set the material. So if you go to the door panel, right now it's wood. I'm going to leave it that way because we have wooden doors, right? So, okay. And so when you come to the wall, it will start showing you the distance from each side. This is one of the cool things about Revit. As you drop it, you come here, it's showing you the distance from each side of the wall you want to place it. So if I want to put this door like 900 from this side, I can move my mouse until I see 900. I have the door there. I want to make another exit here. Make it 900. So we have 2 doors now. And then if we look at it from our 3D view, we see the doors are in there. So as you're drawing, you're generating your elevations. If I go to that east elevation now, you can see the elevation of the thing. You can go over here, double click, you see north, south, east, and west. So while I do that, it's opening each tab here. So sometimes you want to close and keep as few windows as possible. So we go on to put some windows. So putting the windows, I go back to this floor level, select the window under architectural. And then if you do not like all the windows that are inside the object, you have the option to load window families from somewhere else. So for now, we want architecture window and then go to edit type, duplicate, and then we're making, let's say, window type 1. Okay. And then we set the size of the windows. So I just put like 200 height, and then the width, I can make it 1.5, and okay. So now when I come to this place, so you see here that it already has a seal height, 915. I can change it to 900. I come over here and I place, as you want to place the windows, same thing, it will be showing you the distance, how far away do we want it from the door. So I've put that 1, 2 here. I can put 1, 2 from this edge too. And then I see the middle of this point. So you see that while you are drawing, you are also measuring how far you want it to be. So these numbers that are appearing are tags. So yeah, I don't want them to show here because I'm doing a sketch, a simple drawing, it's not working drawing. So if I select it and say, select all instances in view, all of them are selected, I can then hide them. So I'm hiding the elements or the categories, so they will hide. So for each window, you have the option to hide things. You can make it visible in one window and then hide it in another view. So we have 3 windows in front here now. And then we can go on to do the ceilings and all that, but I moved from this stage to like putting the roof. So for that roof, go to the roof level. So I double click on the roof level, and then in architecture, we have roof. So I click on the roof here, and then you can see that we have settings for overhang. You have something to define the slope, and then you have the tools here, modify to draw them around. So we have been working with the square. So I use the rectangle and then set the overhang to our usual 600. So that when I come here, wherever I click, it will have that 600 overhang for you to see. And then you check the green mark. So here I didn't duplicate it because I didn't change the settings. So if you want to change settings, you will duplicate it. So now we have the roof in place for this part. So does anybody have any questions? Nida, I see you. Let me see. So does anybody have any questions? You can speak up or put it in the chat. Let me check the chat here. All right, so having done this one now, we move to bringing an image from outside Revit into this file. So I use the same one and then probably just move this. Well, let me make a new file. So file, I want to make a new file, new, and then we say project, and then go and select the Imperial Architecture. Okay. So it opens another window for us. And then we save this file. So file, save. I can name it the Revit Basics and 2 for a second file. And so if you have a picture that's, like you say, of a site or a floor plan that you like, you want to trace it and then continue from there. So what you want to do is go to insert, and then we'll say import image. And I had an image from the Revit Basics. Let me see my documents. And so I had 3 plans here. So if I pick this one, open, so bring the picture and then drop it in the middle here. So we have a floor plan in Revit. The first thing we want to do is to scale it. So what units are we using? If you type UN, you can select and see, or go through it and see what kind of units are in place here. So I'm seeing meter, what you call square feet, and cubic feet. So for here, let's change it to what we used to, the millimeters. Okay. And then go to distance. We want it in millimeters. And then we go to length, change it to millimeters. So most of all this, we'll be using the length, the distance, the area for this one. So, okay. So now we have this plan here. It tells us that this is 33 by 42. Converting that to meters, let me just use this 12 here as a 3.6. So once we have this as, we know that this width of this room is 3.6. So with the image, you cannot actually draw on it. So you have to put lines in it. So you want to draw a line in Revit, you go to annotate, detail line, and then draw the lines in the room from here. And another line. And then now we'll find out what is the actual length, or rather actual width of this room. So I'm going to annotate. Under annotate, we have the dimensions. So I click on the dimensions and I say, find out what is the actual width here. So it's 3.8. So it's actually almost what we're looking out for. We want it to be 3.6. So if we had to scale it, what we do is select this image. So I'll select it and go to scale, and then pick from here to here, which is 3.8, and then I will move it. So go to scale, select the object, scale. I'll pick from here to here, and then move it back to 3.6. So to just reduce it by that small fraction. So once we want to trace this, image, what we actually do is we pin it so that it will not move. So you select it, and there's something that you call the pin. So if I come over it now and try to move it, it won't move because it's pinned. So tracing this now, we go to architecture. We say for anything we want to use, we make a copy. So we duplicate it. So I'll come over here, edit type, duplicate it, and then say this is a wall. It looks like it's a bungalow wall, 150 mm. Okay. Edit it. I'm setting the width now to be 150, and then I pick a material. So most times we have different materials. So for this case now, I can call it the masonry units. Okay. And then okay. So I can start drawing over these walls here. So unlike before, we use the center line, but now we cannot see the center line. So if I select that wall again, and then come over here and pick the finished face exterior, and then click and start going. So you see that it's showing inside. By zooming, you can see that it's inside the black line. And then I can draw around. And finish up this outer wall. So this is not straight. There's no straight, delete, and then create similar. So you select and say create similar, and then draw on this wall in. And so if I have it this way and it's not flush here, you can use your arrows and then move it backwards, and it will align with the wall there. So with that, we can trace all the walls that we want from the plan. And usually you can go click on the 3D to see that we have made the exterior wall. We can go onto the site level and then make that as we did for the first house. So another thing we can do also is to bring a drawing from AutoCAD. So that's the third thing we do today. So in AutoCAD, I have this drawing. I've done the site. I want to do the floor plan. So with this drawing, I'll save it. I think I've saved it on my desktop. So we just save the final changes and then come to Revit. I'll go to the level 1 here and say insert to. And so we say import card. And I go to my desktop where I have the drawing. So I call the Revit basic. So once you select the drawing, you look at this bottom side where we say preserve the colors, import units. So import units, I want to make sure that it's in millimeters. And then to position it, sometimes the drawing can get missing when you're bringing it from AutoCAD in. So most times I like to say the manual center so that I place it by myself and then open. So you can see that the drawing has come into Revit, and then I can place it here. And when I've done all that sketch, I can trace on the drawing now. Yeah, so we've talked about the interface, edit mode, things that you can do. We can make, once you've made those like the building foundation, you can edit it and change it, tweak it to how you want it to look. And then you use the X to cancel or discard your changes. And then once you finish making those changes, you use the green tick to accept the changes. So it says that sometimes Revit will detect a problem that prevents you from ending the edit mode. You must solve the problem or cancel your changes. So I talked about this when I was drawing, where we have this scale at the bottom. We have this to choose define. We have this to choose the graphic display. Over here, we can change the sun. So if you want to put on the sunlight to see how it affects your model, let me go back to the first one we had here. Yeah, so with this now, if I came to this point and say the sun parts on, and it will ask you which place do you want to use. So I'll say continue my current settings. So it will show you the direction of the sun, and you can actually pick your location. So if I go to manage, and then I go to my region, let me see the global project information, yeah. That way I can put in my name, description of what I'm doing over here. And then we can pick the location to this is what I'm looking for, yeah. So if we come to this location mapping, it will give you exactly the settings of that area. So it's built in where, because I'm in this Boston area, is picking my region, but it will give you the climate of that area that you have picked in the drawing. So if I say but Harcourt, and search, so it has Port Harcourt, Nigeria. So it will put the exact climate of that place. So this is why it's important for doing all this research. The idea of teaching it is to make sure that people can use these things, and then you can start thinking about research, about creating data, about using it to improve the area that you are in. So this is showing us the sun. I can turn that off. And then if I click this, that means I want the shadows to turn on. So now it's showing me shadows because I've clicked on this shadow on. So here we see detail level, and then it will set the level of detail. Certain details such as the wall structure, the layers are hidden when in the coarse detail level. So we have the visual style. So it determines the look. Like when I clicked on it, you can see wireframe allows you to see every part of the thing that you're doing. The hidden line, the shaded, consistent colors, realistic, and then ray trace. So we use this as an example now. If I click on wireframe, I can see through the building, see all the lines inside. And then if I come over here again and do hidden lines, so we cannot see inside the building anymore. And then we go for shaded, we can see just the colors, consistent colors, and then realistic. So let's say we change the roof, like we said, edit type, and then duplicate it to roof 1. And then we can change the thickness of the roof. And change this from 4 to 2. And then the material of the roof, we have roof tiles here. So we're still in the realistic mode. So now you can see that it has changed to show us the roof type. So we just looked at the sun pattern settings, the shadows. We have the rendering dialog. So when we are done, when we finish drawing this, you want to render, we go to the view panel. In this view panel, we have a lot of things here. You can make your animations, you can make your legends, your schedules, which you can export into CSV, into Excel sheets to calculate. So if I click on this render here, and then we can set it to medium, high, best. So let me say medium, and then I click on render. So if we want to render this, that means changing it to what we put on our presentation. It starts rendering, and then like we said, it's garbage in, garbage out. So it depends on how you put your lighting, the materials that you choose, and then the rendering will give you the final outputs there. Once that's finished rendering, we can export the image, and then save it somewhere. So I'm not saving it now. So go back to the notes. So we can use the crop view. So while in this 3D mode, we can set the crop view on and then start moving it around to adjust the thing. So we go to the crop region, annotate, and then set this box. So that way we can adjust if you click on this box, you can adjust it to select the areas that you want for the heights and all that, especially when you want to export a particular section. I'll turn them off now. And so back to here. And so when we want to lock our views, it's only available in 3D. And then we can hide and isolate objects like what I showed while I was drawing it. You select something, you hide it, you don't want to see it. So most times when we want to send this to 3D print, they'll ask you to, because there's some things that are too tiny. So if you want to send it to 3D print, maybe you might want to hide some features, some of the windows. If I select this window, right click and then hide this element, you'll see that if we look closer now, the window is no longer showing there. So Control Z to undo, the window is back. And then to zoom, we use the scroll wheel of our mouse to zoom in, pan and orbit. We have this wheel like I showed before. If we come to, so these things are closing our wheel. So over here, we have the wheel to move around. So if you click on the wheel, you pick a center point, and then you move around. If you click or move around the orbit, you can go around your building. Yeah, so when you hover the mouse over an element in Revit, it's highlighted to indicate which object will be selected. And then if you do the left mouse button and click it, the element is actually selected when an element is highlighted. When multiple objects are eligible to selected, you can use the tab to cycle through the list of elements that can be selected, changing which one is actually highlighted. The method is also useful to select an entire chain of walls. So in Revit, when you want to select items, if I go to this level 1, I prefer this other floor level, yeah. So if we go to the floor level, I've selected the wall. So, but if I want to select all the walls, I can right click and say, select all objects in view, select all instances visible in view, it will select all of them. And then you can also hold down Control or Shift. So with Shift, you can remove selection of some. With Control, if you hold down Control, you can add the selection for the ones that you want. Okay. So the drag window left to right, only elements that are completely within the window are used. Drag windows right to left, all elements that are within. So like with AutoCAD, you know how to use the AutoCAD. So if we do this, we select or we go this way, also the means. So if I draw this, it doesn't select all, but if I allow it to just touch it left way, it will select it. And then remove from current selection. I'll show that Control and Shift will help us to select and deselect. And then the Revit project typically has several views. The most common examples are the floor plans, the elevations, and there are 2D views on our projects. The section we'll talk about, we already talked about the 3D views. We have 3D cameras that we can put in and take out of it too. We've seen the wheel, the orbit and the pan and the rewind. So with zoom, we can move in. So you can use the center scroll to zoom in, or you can use the wheel. And then if you click on the zoom and then you click it to zoom in or out. Yeah, so I wish somebody had, does anybody have Revit on their system now so that we can see you practice it? If you cannot talk, you can chat in. I see you, Ihoma, you're welcome. Do you have Revit today?
Yes, I have Revit today, but it's on a different laptop from the one that I'm using.
It's not on the Zoom. Okay, so if you can connect the thing, or I don't know how you can do it to, have you practiced through the moves to like draw a simple house?
I just got the Revit like 3 hours ago.
Okay, so I'm recording this. I'll share the link to the
Okay,
video so that you can use it to practice. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations on getting the Revit. Okay, so I'll go through the notes till like maybe the next 15 minutes and then entertain questions. So we have the far clip plane, pivot. So all this will come in when we're drawing and then we can make use of them. So most times when you're using it, we troubleshoot sometimes you're missing your interface, like how Madam B's thing got missing the other day, we can get them back. We go into the user interface. One thing I didn't show the last time was if we say tile views, it will show us all our views in the different sections, okay? And if I click on it again, it should go off there. Let me go back here. So if we say troubleshoot, use the user interface, perspective of the 3D is distorted, and then we go to the wheel, increase or decrease the focal length. So basic elements, we've seen the walls. We've seen that you can constrain the walls. If you set the height, so go back to the Revit. What I'll do now is close them one by one so that I can get back to. To see, so sometimes it will remind you to save your project, okay? And so if I go to project browser and double click on my level 1 here, I want to see that one. And then we say go to the architecture. So let me drag this to make this the orange view. Yeah, so 3D and level 1 here. So with the site here now, we're still seeing those ones. I'll go through it now again. So massing and sites, topos surface. We did the flat one before. So here we can make it like 600. We want to do a slopey site. So if I say 600 at the end here, and then 0 to say we're going like higher from the road into the site. So with this site now, if you want to put a road, what you will use here is the sub-region. So if I click on sub-region and then use this to say, use a rectangle to make the road, it will automatically stick to the site where you use the sub-region. So if I go back to this 3D, we see now that we have the road here, and then we can look at it through the shaded. You see that 2 of them are the same material, but you can change it, select it, and then go to material here beside the by category. And then maybe what's going to be the road material, asphalt or concrete. So concrete precast, okay. So we say that we have changed it. And then we say if we want to change the site to grass, what do we do? So we select the site, go to material. And in this material, if we scroll through here, we will not see grass. So some materials that you want may not be in this first library. So what we do is to create a new material. So if I hover there, it will say create and duplicate material. So if I hit this plus, create a new material, a new line will appear here, default new material. I will rename it to be grass. And then here we have our asset library. That means we have a lot of materials in this asset. And so over here, I'm going to search for grass. So here we have different types of grass depending on what you're designing for and which one you like. So we have the Bermuda, bluegrass, all these names. So if I pick this high quality grass, how do you get the high quality grass to this material that we created? There's an arrow here. So we click on this arrow and then it comes to this grass material. So I say, okay, apply first and then okay. So when I do this, we see that we have our grass in place. We want to see it in realistic so that we can see the grass. So there you go, we have the grass and then we have the road. And then we want to put the building pad on this site. So go back to site level and then get the building pad, select the box, and then, so while you're moving, is another thing so I'm canceling this. I want to discard it. Yes, so if you press the X, that goes. If I select the building pad, as I'm moving, it will be aligning, select the box. So it will be aligning to the things that are already on the site. So let's say you want to go align with the old line. You see that it will show you, okay, you're aligned to something. as you're moving, to be showing you the relationship between things there. So it makes it easier for you to just settle on the design thing that you want. So it's showing me that I'm aligned to the top and the bottom of that other house that I put. And I click. So once we're done, we check the mark, we have our building part there. And you see that it's aligning to the terrain, the topography of that site that we already made. And it's still selected. So I can set the height here now to 450. And then that shows over here that it's offset. But because remember we have sloped it through 600. So I need to make it higher if I want it to come out of the ground. So I'm going to make that 90. And then so it's coming out of the ground now. And so we are this site level. If we want to do the ground, this is a new file. So we said create levels. And one of them I did, I show how to make your foundation level and then up. So let's say we go to this east elevation. We want to set our levels for this site that we're making here. Going to architecture to make levels, architecture, new level. So let's get this to one side, or I can take it. Yeah, so get to the new level. And then we can draw in or we can offset. So let's say we're taking the level from here, level. So it already has our 0 level. That's why it's not responding. So if I use the same 0, it's going to, so the Revit is intuitive in the sense that it will correct me when I make mistakes. So I have 0, I don't want to draw a new level there. I want to get my foundation. So using this arrow, I can offset for the foundation. How much do we want to go into the ground? So maybe like 900 beneath the surface. If I come here and I hover my mouse, it will go at the top or below. So now I want it below, so I can click. So I have that foundation level. Remember, we say we can change the name. It's telling us level 3, so we can say it is the foundation level. So will I like to rename it? Say yes. So over here, you see that it has named it the foundation level. And then we have our 0. We want to make a floor level. How high should it be from the floor? So I'm going to make that also, I can make that 750 this time. So go to architecture, level, and then make this 750. And so from this 0, it's to use the draw. So I'm going to use the select now. And so I have a new floor level. It's automatically give it a name, but I'll call this floor level. We have the floor level there. And so with this now, we want to do the walls and also make this building pad to end here. So in the site, we already have our building pad here. So right now it's 900. And if we look at it in 3D, it's selected 900, but we want it to be 750. How does that happen? We have 0, go to the elevation, east elevation, and check all the heights that we need to make. So here is 750 and 0. So come back here. I've selected it. It's already 900 here, so make it 750. Okay. So back to that floor level, and then we draw the walls. So now we cannot see it. So when we cannot see it, what do we say? We go to the properties and then go to the range base. Here it is underlay. The range base is at none. So if you click on this arrow, you can tell it look down up to a particular level. So I wanted to see up to foundation level because I've done so many things on there. So now they are showing the levels for us. I'm going to have to zoom in and look out for, see, I'm seeing the green stuff thing here. On this site, floor level, foundation level. I want to see this one here, so still check. Go over to none, foundation level, apply. So why this is happening is because I have 2 drawings open, okay? So now I can see this part that I'm looking for. So what I need to do here now is hide the things that I don't want to see. So go here, hide in view by the category. So I don't see that. I'm seeing this part that I want to draw on. So I go to the wall. We already have the 150 wall. So I'll just go ahead and draw it. So remember, the modify tools comes up so that we can select and then draw it. So now we've set it to draw internally so we can see our walls. So always as you're drawing, you want to be looking at the 3D, you want to be looking at the sides to see the drawing. So when we've done this on the repeat, we're doing doors, we're doing windows. So back to the floor level and then put the doors and the windows. So if I go to the window, edit type, let's check. So normally when you make your windows, you should have the different types of windows here. So if I click on this arrow, it will show me fixed windows with different dimensions. So with 24 by 24, that means 600 by 600 mm. And then with that, you can have a picture of what you're looking out for. We have casement windows, double hung. So select the type of window you want first. Then you can edit the type to adjust it. So I'm going to duplicate before I change. Remember, it comes with its own type of window. So the width here is 800, the height is 900, so 863 and 914. So let's say I want to make it 1.5, and then I want the height to be 1.2. Okay. And so when I come to the wall, you can show me the window, and it's showing me the distance now, the distance from the center to the wall. And then you see that when you move it, the swing is changing. So we want it to swing outwards, and then I'm making it 8 feet tall. Let me say 2.4 from the wall. And then I'm making another, so you can actually centralize without having to offset and change, check as it go. You're knowing the distance that it is from the wall. So I don't want to see the tag, so I right click, hide in view by the categories. So 2 of them have disappeared now. And then I go on to put the, so always look at, so we look at the 3D. This is, let me see, the window, the walls are too high. So select, remember we select one, control, select all the others. And then we see what's the height of this wall. It's telling us that it's 6 meters. So I want to change it to 3 meters. So that way my window now is now too high. So if I select this window and then control, select it, and we check the sill height is 9. And then the height of the window, let me see, edit type. The height of the window is 1.2. So let's see what are the heights of this wall. So normal 3-meter wall shouldn't look like this, right? The level of the wall is the problem. So it's from level 1, not from the floor level. So you see that we select all of them again. Control, select all the walls. I'm taking on a different thing. So I'm going to check it to see I'm not changing anything. I'll select the walls. So after this, we'll look at how to change the shape of the wall with the wall profile. So if I select this, select all instances in view, and then I can then do the top constraints to be at the roof level. I don't have roof level here, so I can check the heights and say make it at the floor level, which you said. Okay, so now it looks better. So one thing, if I look at it on the elevation, will I be able to see it on the elevation? Let's see, level. Yeah, so here I might not be able to see because this markers show you the elevation. So I'll move it this way. And then I can select in this elevation and say, go to the elevation view. And then it shows me this view. And then I can change the profile of this wall. So if I select it and then go up here, it will say edit the profile. So this way, with this wall like this, we can say, we don't want it to be straight. We want to change the shape of this wall to probably 45 degrees or something. So I'm going to unlock that, get a line. So if I unlock that, I can select the line, delete this, and then pick a line and just draw anything here. So once I do that, and then I check it, let's save the project. So the wall will automatically take that shape. And if I come to the 3D, you'll see that I have this wall that is just randomly moving that because I edited the profile and then gave it that shape. I'm going back, undo to give us our flat straight wall. So you can do that to change those, walls that hide the roof, the parapet walls that you need. So the last thing I'll do now is to roof this, and then we'll see if anybody has any questions. So I'll go to the floor level, and then I thought before to do a roof level. So we have level 2. Let's change this level 2 to roof level. Yes, change the name. And then while we're on this roof level, we can make a roof for this section. So go to architecture, roof, and then edit type, duplicate, and then give it a name. And then change the materials. And so how thick, so some people make it very thin because you want to do that casement or the parapets design around the roof. So if I change the thickness to, let's say 100, and then give it the roofing materials. So the roof tiles, we have the membrane. So if we don't see anything here, then make a new roof material, rename it. So I actually selected there. So default new material, rename. Now it's disappearing. Okay, so let me look for the material first, and then roof. So we have different types of things for the roof, shingle. So let me take this, I'll click here, roofing, and then we see different types of material for the roof. We have the shingles and all that here. So I pick a dark one, and then it goes to the default new material, the default roof, and then we say, I'll just close this and then apply, okay. And so here we pick the square material, the square shape, and then give it an offset. And then click here to here. So we have the roof in place now. So would you like to attach it? So because my wall, so that the wall is higher than that level, to ask you, would you like to attach the walls to the roof? So I'm going to say attach. And so if I look at it in 3D, you see that it has adjusted the walls to fit to that height of the roof. And then, like we said, we can pick a center and then up it to go around. And then with this roof, we can change the slope. This slope is too high. So if I select it and come into these properties, so the property will always reflect whatever we select. So we go to the properties, and then we want to change the angle. We come over here to the roof here, rafter, plumb, so the slope. So it's giving us the slope in 9×12. So if I come here, because I didn't set all the units, that's why it's giving me this 9×12. But you know that you can set it with angles. Over here, it's I can change it to 6, and then I can see that the slope has reduced. So I'll stop here for today. And if anybody has any question, let me know. Let's stop sharing.